Hello and welcome to Career Talks. My name is Gillian.
And I'm Sheena.
And we are your hosts for today. We've got a jam-packed day for you today. Lots of information, lots of tips, lots of advice. Make sure you've got your pen and paper handy to take notes because the tips are going to be priceless. So to start us off, I am going to just add in both of our hosts so they can just introduce themselves.
Thank you for having me. So hi everyone, my name is Hannah Awonuga. I am the founder of Rarity London Career Services. And what I do is support females professionals throughout their careers, whether that's graduation, career transitioning, job searching. I'm also a diversity and inclusion vice president, and I work in the financial services industry. Been doing that for 14 years, so I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. Thank you.
Perfect. And Remi?
Hi everyone, I'm Remi Ray. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started in fashion and have now pivoted to becoming a business coach that supports women that are really ready to diversify their income and articulate their value. I also have a 9-to-5 too, so I'm a business programs manager at a major institute in the UK, which works to put programs together for entrepreneurs and people that are budding to start out business ideas.
So without further ado, we are going to go straight into it with Hannah.
Everyone, good evening and welcome to Career Talks with Hannah Awonuga. So as I said in my intro, I am a corporate career coach. I have had Rarity London Career Services for the past 3 years and have helped a number of women as they continue to grow in their careers, whether that is just starting out, graduating from university, wanting to change careers or job searching. So when I talk about careers, for me, career is much more than just a job. And if you know me, you know that I'm always saying that careers is very much about having a strategy. So my mantra is planning your career is about being logical and strategic with the decision and routes you take. It's all good and well talking about what you want from your career, but if you don't have a plan, then it's always just going to be a want. I remember once, a couple of years ago, I remember saying to one of my bosses that I really wanted to become a manager. And he said, yeah, well, I really wanted to become a dancer. And that really stuck with me because you can want whatever you want, right? It's about how do you make sure that you have a plan and a route to get there. So I would say, and I'll continue to say throughout, it's really important for you to have a plan. The strategy bit is a little bit more difficult to kind of pinpoint, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I just wanted to make this point because I think it's absolutely really important. So I just wanted to cover what we're going to be going through today. So we will be talking about career transitioning during a global pandemic. This year has been unprecedented and also probably something that none of us expected. And so therefore, the career goals you may have had at the beginning of the year may be very different now. You may have had to go on furlough, you may be out of work, you may still be in work, but in a very turbulent situation. And so therefore, I just wanted to touch on, some of the things you would need to do if you are transitioning or wanting to transition in 2020. Next, we'll look at transferable skills. Again, as I continue to talk about being strategic. And so therefore, I want to go through a little bit around some of the skills that you may have now that actually may help you when it comes to transitioning into whether that's a new job, a completely new field, or just a new role. But I think that it's really important to understand that actually you can obtain quite a lot of skills in your current role that actually can really help you as you go on. And then the final is my favorite, how to use LinkedIn to in your job search. And this is something I'm really, really passionate about. I saw some of the questions that have already come through, and one of them was about what is the right platform to use when it comes to job searching. And I would absolutely say that LinkedIn is your best platform to use if you are a job searcher or a career person. So let's just get straight into it. So the first one we're going to talk about is career transitioning in a global pandemic. So the question is there ever a right time to career transition? Now, as you think about your career, there are so many points in your career that you may feel like, I'm ready to move, or I'm ready for that new role, or I don't like what I'm doing. And so therefore, there's a couple of things you need to do to be able to think about what is the next step for you. Most of us fall into our careers actually, because you start off with something that may be I'll just get a job. I remember my first job. I was 17 when I joined the company that I work for, and I would have never thought that 14 years later I would still be in the company. So therefore, you can see how you can easily get comfortable in any type of role that you are in. However, there will be points in your career, and you will recognize that, because there'll be some feelings. You'll be unmotivated, you'll be uninterested, you will be disengaged, and all of them are real telltale signs that actually you're probably ready to either move roles or think about doing something different. Sometimes it can be really easy to stay and stay where you are for comfortability, but actually, you know, there's so much life in actually thinking about what the next career move will be. It can be daunting, you know, if you are an accountant and you want to move into marketing, then actually that could be a real minefield, trying to think about actually how do you make them moves. And so here are some of the tips that I have supported how I have shared with my clients when we talk about career transitioning. So have a career plan. I know there's so many cliches about goals, setting goals, and planning for your career, but it's absolutely important to have a career plan. And to me, the way I've always said to all my clients is start with 5 years, right? How do you want to feel about your career in 5 years' time? Where do you want to be? You know, whether that's leadership, whether that is in a senior position, whether that is running your own business. Once you've figured out what you want to do in 5 years, it becomes so much easier to work backwards. So you think, okay, so if I want to get there in 5 years, what are the steps I'm going to need to get there? Usually a five-year plan would mean probably 2 different roles that you'd have to be. If you're working in a professional company, it'll be probably 2 roles to get you to where you want to get to. And so once you've established that, then you can start to think about, okay, so 2 roles, what roles will I need to do to be able to get me there in 5 years? It's so much easier. Sometimes when you're trying to plan a career for the here and now, it's just too much, too overwhelming, and you don't really know what direction you want to go to. So I would always say, get a glass of wine, sit down, and think about where you want to be in 5 years' time. A real easy way to also do that is to think about how you want to be living in 5 years' time. What type of lifestyle do you want to have? Where do you want to be financially? Really having that forward thinking creates a picture. I'm so into visualization, right? So you create a picture of what you want in 5 years' time, and you work your way backwards. That way you're able to really see the steps that you need to do to achieve your 5-year plan. The next one is list occupations and careers to explore. So this is for people who don't really know what they want to do. I hear it all the time. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do next. I'm comfortable in my role. And so the one of the things that I've always said is if you just make a list of all the things that you would love to do, occupations that you find interesting, and then also next to your list, you write all the things that you're interested in, all the things that you're passionate about. So for me, a couple of years ago, probably about 8 years ago, I was a branch manager in East London. And it was my first big leadership role. I was really, really excited about it. And I did it for 3 years and I loved it. But then actually what happened after that is that I started to think about, okay, well, what do I actually love about the role? Like, I like that role, but there are some things I absolutely don't like about the role. So I sat down and I thought about all of the things that I really loved about that role. People development, engaging with people, hiring people, putting people on performance plans and seeing them achieve it. All of them things are the things that I really, really enjoyed. And what I did with that information was, when I started looking for other roles, I made sure that I was really specific about the roles that I was applying for. I wanted to make sure that the roles that I applied for in the future had everything that I still loved about the role that I was in, without the bits that I didn't like. And so that was really important to me, because that really helped me think about actually some of the things that I wanted to do. So I then was able to move into a colleague experience role from a branch manager role, because I had realized that actually I love people. I love interacting with people. I love developing people. I love supporting people. And so I would really urge you, if you're thinking about career transitioning, list the occupations and the careers that you find interesting, but then also list all your passions and your interests. And so therefore, what you do, again, through your career plan, you start to match things up. Okay, so these are the passions that I have, and these are the occupations that I have. How do they pair against each other? Hopefully what that will do is that will then whittle down some of the occupations that you've listed to about 2 or 3. And then when you get to 2 or 3, you then start to book in informal meetings. Now, if you work in an organization, this is a little bit easier. If you work in a big organization, then you will be able, you know that they have a HR and a marketing and transformation departments. So you're able to kind of think about actually if they are the areas that you want to go into. If you're not in a job and you are looking, and you list your occupation and careers and you list your passions, start to reach out to people who are doing the roles that you're considering. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about LinkedIn. I am a LinkedIn fanatic. It's absolutely my best platform, and I will tell you why later. But it's an awesome place to meet professional people. You get the opportunity to hear from senior people, from people in particular industries, and you then start to build a connection and a network that can help you either find a job or keep you informed about that industry, which will help you in a job interview. And then the last one is set SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym, and it means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So you would put S would be specific. What is it exactly you want to do? M would be measurable. When do you want to do it? And is that an achievable goal? A is achievable. So when will it be achievable? How will it be achievable? And is it achievable, right? So if you are just starting your career and your goal is to be an MD in 2 years, is that realistic? If it is, go for it. But if it's not, then make sure that you have realistic goals. And one thing is, if you don't put a time on a goal, it is not a goal. You have to make sure that you've put a time on it so that you can it keeps you honest, and it also allows you to measure yourself against the goals that you have set. Now we've talked a little bit about career transitioning and the steps that you can take to career transition. One thing you're going to need when you career transition is a CV. And in that CV, you will need to be very strategic, again, that word, about how you document your experience, your personal interests, and your skills. So let's talk a little bit about skills. Transferable skills are skills that are relevant and helpful across different industries and career paths. They are skills that you've acquired in one job that will help you to be successful in another. So for instance, if you're thinking about moving into another role, what skills do you hold in your current role that will be able to really help you as you move forward? I used the example last time of being an accountant and wanting to move into marketing. That's a really tough transition. How do you get in? How do you demonstrate that you have the skills and the ability to work in marketing when you've got no marketing experience? This is where transferable skills come in. This is where you show what we call, and what you all know as, soft skills. There are so many reasons why employers now are focusing more on transferable soft skills than they are on technical skills. Technical skills can be taught. You can go into a company and they can train you. However, soft skills are skills that you have acquired that usually come with your personality, and your ambition, and your drive. So these are skills that you can take anywhere. And we'll talk a little bit about how do you draw out and identify that you have these skills. But I wanted to touch on some of these skills because these skills are not specific to any industry or any job, but should be on everybody's CV if you have them. So the first one is stakeholder management. What this tells an employer is that you are able to hold relationships and hold stakeholder relationship. Well, let me go back. A stakeholder is somebody who's not in your team but has invested interest in you and your department. It could be your boss's boss. It could be somebody in finance, somebody in marketing. These people are your stakeholders that need you to do their job, and you need them to do your job. Having stakeholder management as a skill is a really important skill to have because it shows that you're able to hold relationships. You're able to maintain a relationship with somebody who is not in your team. Usually we call stakeholders somebody who is senior. So again, it's that senior experience and senior engagement. Project management. Again, yes, there are qualifications out there, but how do you articulate on your CV if you have held a project from end to end? You may not have no experience and you may not have no qualifications. However, you may have experience. And sometimes when people see the word project management, they think of a project that they've been given, that's been called a project, that they have been given a budget and a team for. And that is not always the case. You could be working in the NHS, for instance, and something similar to what we have happening at the moment. You are asked to look after a particular department or a particular project that they want you to see through for the next 6 months. They don't call it a project. You're not a project manager, but they ask you to be responsible for a task, and they say to you, it needs to be delivered in 6 months. That is a project. You have to understand what is it that they need, what is it that you have, and how you're going to get them to the finish line. That how you articulate that in an interview is really, really important. There are some skills that you need as a project manager. There are some roles that require a qualified project manager, but having that experience of being able to take a project or a task and start it and finish it in a period of time is really important to highlight on your CV, and it will allow you to elaborate in an interview. Written and verbal communication is absolutely important. How you communicate verbally, your confidence, your ability to present, your ability to connect with people really is a real skill that is really needed at the moment. Written communication is also extremely important. How do you come across when you are sending emails or when you are writing or presenting? If you have experience with that, then that is absolutely something that needs to be on your CV. Adaptable, I won't go through all of them, but having numeracy skills, being adaptable, being analytical, leadership. If you have been asked to look after a team, if you have been asked to train, a lot of something that I hear a lot with my clients is, I train everybody. That is absolutely something that should be on your CV. And if you are training somebody else to help them do their job, then that is leadership skills that you are displaying. Working in a team, being creative in this new world that we live in, creativity is absolutely important. So these are some of the skills that you can take anywhere, that are transferable, and that mean that when you're writing your CV and when you're thinking about moving into new roles, you will have to lean on your transferable skills, maybe because you don't have the experience of the role that you're applying for. You need to be able to demonstrate that you have these skills that will really bring something new to the table. One thing I wanted to point out before we move on is about interpreting them skills onto your CV. I see it a lot, and I think it's really challenging if you don't know how to identify some of the skills that you may have. But I just wanted to give you some examples of stuff that you could be doing now, but not putting on your CV. So, for instance, you could be working in an organization and your boss asks you to call a client. And he asks you to do that several times, to the point where you now actually know the client and they know you, and you continuously have a two-way dialogue about the service that you provide to them, or about the relationship that you hold with them. So your boss steps away and says, look, I just need you to make sure that client is okay. To me, if you were describing that situation to me and you were holding that relationship with that customer for quite a long time, then I would expect to see relationship management on your CV, or external engagement on your CV. Some people would never think to put that, but if you have been given the responsibility to maintain a relationship with a client outside of your organization, then that is you externally managing that relationship. That is you building a relationship with that client, but then also showing the ability to be able to represent your organization to other companies and people. Another thing as well could be that you and your boss may be really close, and she or he continuously asks you to deal with queries in regards to some leaders within your organization. And she constantly says, or he says, can you deal with this query for me? Can you deal with that query for me? And soon other people outside of your team, so within your organization, but outside of your team, start to know you. That is what I would call stakeholder management. And so that is how you then start to build your stakeholder management, by holding them relationships. So when you're writing your CV, it's always worth taking a minute, thinking about the role that you've done, sitting down and writing all of the tasks that you have completed in your role. That then gives you an opportunity to just think about, okay, so these scenarios that I've been through, what skills are they actually displaying by me doing the skills? So take a minute. I'm really passionate about always taking a step back and really looking at the role that you're in at the moment. What are the day-to-day tasks do you do? And often when I'm sitting with my clients and we're doing a skill set analysis, they are astounded by the amount of skills that they have taken on but just not identified. So that would be my hot tip. So now we move on to LinkedIn. And as I've said, I absolutely love LinkedIn. It's an awesome platform. I have so much fun on there, and I think for the type of person that I am, engaging with people on a professional level is absolutely something I really enjoy. But it's not only about enjoyment. There's some real key reasons why LinkedIn should be as part of your job search, but also part of your engagement plan when it comes to career development. So the first thing I would say to you is, have you Googled yourself? If you haven't, try it now and you can put done in the comment section if you have. And the reason why I ask you to Google yourself is because 8 times out of 10, your LinkedIn profile will be the first profile that comes up. And so therefore, it's really important that you have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile. Years and years ago, I say that like it's really long ago, but it's not that long ago, but people would have to wait till the interview to see you and to know, a little bit more about you. Whereas now, people do their Googles. People will Google you, including employers, including your employer, including prospective employers and recruiters. And so what do they see when they Google you? When they put your name into Google, what comes up? And if it is your LinkedIn profile that comes up, then you need to make sure that you have a fully up-to-date LinkedIn profile that really demonstrates you and your brand, your personal brand, your professional brand, and everything that you want people to know about you. For me, it's really important. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile in 2020, you're not serious. And I say that with kind hearts, but you really need to get onto LinkedIn. Why do I say that? For me, there's a number of things that LinkedIn do that other platforms just don't do. Firstly, you can apply for jobs directly on LinkedIn. You can update your CV, you can connect with recruiters, and that is a really important part of LinkedIn that I think is not utilized enough. You can get LinkedIn alerts, which means that LinkedIn will alert you anytime that there's a job that fits your description comes up. It refers it to you as well. So if you have got an up-to-date profile, and you say on your profile that you're open for opportunities, LinkedIn will then send you opportunities to say, this fits in with your profile, have you had a look at it? But I think the unique thing about LinkedIn is that if you are strategic, again, that word, with your career development, then you can actually start to engage with employers before they post their jobs. All you need to do with LinkedIn is just type in anything, any job. I have a client at the moment who is looking for a role in the housing industry. So she's looking, we're still on the one before, thanks. She's looking for a role as an estate agent. And so what an exercise that we did together was we just typed in all of the known estate agents in the UK. And then they came up on LinkedIn, and all their employers came up on LinkedIn as well. And then she followed a load of their employers and started to interact. She started to see the posts that they were posting, and started to comment and started to engage. And then when a role came up, because she had been engaging with them before, she was then able to reach out to them and say, I've seen this role, really interested in it. And they were able to take that offline and have a chat. The other reason why LinkedIn is really important is because it allows you to naturally build your brand. For me, as I've mentioned before, I am a diversity and inclusion vice president. I've been in a leadership role for the past 8 years, but in this role since last year. And last year I moved into D&I. So I really wanted to position myself as a D&I professional, and I wanted for people to see me in that diversity and inclusion lens, as a person they can go to, as a person they would want to listen to. And so I literally just post. I post how I feel about particular topics that are happening in the world. I post about things that are really important to me. So right now, obviously with the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm very passionate about race and ethnicity, and being a Black woman in a corporate company, it's been really interesting to connect and engage with people in LinkedIn. And I just thought I'd show you. So I have, and it's different to Instagram, I would say. So on Instagram, the more followers you get, the more engagement you get. So if you have more followers, you get more engagement. In LinkedIn, it's not like that. So as you can see on the screen, I have 4,252 followers on LinkedIn. And a post I posted up last week, Friday, was a post that really triggered me. It's the one with the men and the lady sitting in front of 10 white men, and that is supposed to be an interview. And the question is, describe what you can bring to this company. Now that triggered me because I was like, well, are you ready? But for me, it was that presented an opportunity to really show that my difference is a superpower. So I posted it last week, and my caption was, being different is your superpower. We are now a week ahead, and that post was viewed 124,000 times, with 132 comments and over 3,000 likes and acknowledgements. I don't say that to boast, because I am definitely not an influencer. But why I say that is because that engagement allows you to really showcase who you are. Now, that wasn't a fluke. There are several other instances where posts and engagement get 26,000, 14,000 people viewing it. And so imagine if in 6 months' time, I then post, hey guys, looking for a new opportunity. This is who I am. That same engagement will allow a number of people to see that I am a consistent person on LinkedIn. I have a brand, I have a following. People, I talk about D&I, and they can look back in my profile and see that I'm constantly talking about D&I topics and getting the engagement where people actually comment and conversate. For me, this has definitely been a game changer. It has opened so many opportunities for me. I have been offered roles. It's given me great access to some amazing senior people within the industry. And now I feel like I'm in a position to continue to support and help people. And if I go back to what my passions are, my passions is developing people. So being on LinkedIn, getting the engagement that you get simply through posting really can boost your career and your brand. Gives you the first opportunity to position yourself however you want to be positioned. But if you're not in it, you won't win it, right? So I would absolutely say everybody get onto LinkedIn, make sure you have a full profile, write your personal statement. It's only a couple of lines, follow people, engage with people, and make sure you have your own content as well. A couple of questions to ask is, who do you want to be? So who do you want to be on LinkedIn? What do you want to be known for? What do you want a prospective recruiter to see you for or see you as? And then once you've established that, just jump on the bandwagon. Don't worry about not having any experience. Before December, I was not a diversity and inclusion professional. I was a leader within my organization. And so I didn't think, oh, I am not credible because I haven't got loads of years of experience. I just started talking. I just started actually sharing what's important to me. So just a couple of five quick reasons. I've gone through them, but 5 quick reasons why you need to have LinkedIn in your job search strategy. LinkedIn is a professional career platform. LinkedIn is the only platform when you can connect and engage with potential employers before you press that apply button. You can apply for jobs and receive job alerts directly. LinkedIn comes up on the top of the Google search. That is a really important one. And you gain the opportunity to showcase yourself in a professional capacity. So I say all of that with the caveat that trying to find your career and where you are and your space is really, really tough. It's not easy, and you will get there. Sometimes you can feel stuck. Sometimes you can feel like you don't know what to do next. Sometimes you can feel like you are at a brick wall with nobody to help you. And I would just say, take a minute, sit back. What do you like? Who are you? Who do you want to be? And then from there, make your decision. I always love this quote. If you don't like how things are, change it, because you are not a tree. You do not need to stay there, right? You can move. It takes a bit of work and it doesn't come overnight, but it absolutely can happen. So I just thought I would end with just a little bit about me as a corporate career coach. I have the privilege of meeting and speaking to a number of amazing professional women who want to grow in their careers, want to become MDs and CEOs, or just coming out of graduation and not really knowing where to go next. For me, it's really, really important for you to be able to have somebody next to you by your side who can really coach you through situations. But I would just say that also a career coach is not only for job searching. I have a number of clients who are stuck in their job. They don't get on with their boss. They don't know how to manage that relationship. They don't know how to manage upwards, which is also a really interesting notion. And so to me, being a corporate career coach is about helping you, guiding you through your career to reach your full career potential. If you don't like going to work on Monday, leave your job and find a job that allows you to love going to work on a Monday. So here, just a little bit of text. I thought, career coaching is not, it's new, but it's not new. You have executive coach, but a career coach is something that's quite new. there's a borderline between coaching and counseling. And so for me as a career coach, it's really about helping people put strategic plans in to help their career journey. We do effective planning and a lot of questioning, a lot of probing to really understand what is it you want to do and how do you want to get there. Lastly, just to say that my mission and my vision for Rarity London is to support, engage and inspire. I use anecdotal coaching to be able to support people and encourage them that even though they're starting at the beginning or they don't know where they want to get to, they will get there in the end. And so for me, it's all about taking the time, strategically planning and connecting with people who want to take their careers to the next level.
That was amazing. Thank you. So many gems, different things that I know I will definitely be taking away. I am going to set up my LinkedIn profile because I've been slacking one, but we're definitely going to set that up. We do have a few questions. Well, so the first one was, and I think in regards to when you had your list, in terms of like, I think when you're talking about the SMART goals and identifying, having like a 5-year plan. So the question we had was, what if you cannot establish your career plans?
So for me, like I said, if you can't establish your career plans and you don't really know where you want to get to, just write down what you're passionate about. I always ask my clients, what's your Instagram feed? Like, what interests you? And start from there, right? So you can think about whether that is marketing and content creation, whether that is you love numbers or you love working with people. Start from there. Start with what you enjoy, and then slowly but surely take it from there.
Perfect. Another question was, I feel like LinkedIn is more for business savvy people. Can you find different types of everyday jobs on there?
Absolutely. Everybody is on LinkedIn. So it depends on who you follow and depends on who you connect with. So if you are somebody who is a receptionist and you just want to find other roles that are around receptionist, then absolutely just type in receptionist. And then you'll get people that have got the jobs, you'll get people that are posting for them, that have got vacancies or are in them jobs. So it's absolutely not only for business. It's a more career platform than a business platform. I would say Instagram is more business than LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is absolutely for people that have got careers.
Would you recommend reaching out to people in the field or the position you want to transition into on LinkedIn directly?
Absolutely. I would, though. I say that with a caveat of engage with them first. Don't just reach out and say, hi, I'm looking for a job. You may see a post that they've commented. You say, oh, I really like that post. I really liked your perspective on that. Would you like to talk a bit more about that? Oh, I didn't understand that post. Could we just grab a coffee and talk about that? You don't have to go straight in with, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? Engage with them, ask them questions, post similar posts to them and say, look, that really resonated with me. And then absolutely reach out to them and say, would you like, have you got 10 minutes for a quick chat?
So another question we had is, what advice would you give to somebody if people do not accept your contact request?
So some people are like that. LinkedIn can be one of them places where people only want to connect with their immediate circles for them, but most of the people want to connect. So if somebody doesn't accept your friend request, right, then don't sweat it. There's loads of other people on LinkedIn. Make sure that you're not just targeting one person. If you're targeting one company, just be careful, because obviously people talk to people. So if you're bombarding one person, they may be telling their colleagues that, oh, this person keeps on. But I would just say, don't worry about that. Move on really quickly and find somebody else in that field, because there's loads of people.
So with LinkedIn, should the goal for the relationships you build always be to take them offline, or is it fine to keep your online community separate to your real life network?
Good question.
Really, really good question. I would say it depends on your goal. So if you are reaching out to somebody with the intention that you want to work in their organization, then eventually you may want to take it offline, because you don't want to, maybe, obviously we're in COVID, but having virtual coffee chat, but you can keep them separate. There are people that I connect with on LinkedIn that I have no connection with outside of LinkedIn, but we have a great relationship on LinkedIn. We comment on each other's posts, and if they need, if we're dialoguing or talking about something, we keep it in that bubble. But then there have been times where I've built a relationship, and then I want to reach out to their company, or I want to go and speak at their company, and I say, look, can we just can we grab a coffee or a chat and take it offline? So you'll know when it's right to do that, but I would say keep it online so that it doesn't feel like you've got a hidden agenda first.
Perfect, thank you so much. And the last question would be good to know if career coaching is similar to mentoring. So is career coaching similar to mentoring?
Really, really good question. Really, really good question. So career coaching in general, and mentoring has a very thin, blurred line, right? But for me, they serve two different purposes. So a mentor is somebody who is not in your immediate circle, but within your vicinity, that is able to support you with situations that you're happening in your current roles. So a mentor is somebody who helps you kind of figure out situations, talk you through who you're, if you're wanting to move to a new role. Whereas a career coach is somebody who is completely external from you, who doesn't really know your industry, and is able to really be objective with the support that they give you. They are very focused on your career. Usually you start with a career goal setting sheet right at the beginning of a career and of your career coaching sessions, and you talk about all of the elements of your career. Whereas mentoring, you can move into different aspects, type of life goals and other stuff. So I would say, yeah, they are different.
Perfect. One more last question. What tips do you have for someone wanting to make a move from full-time worker to entrepreneur, for someone who already has a business?
So really, really good question. We are in the era of side hustle, right? Where everyone's side hustling. You've got a full-time job, you've got a side hustle. I would firstly say, know what you want. What is the plan? Is the plan to leave your full-time job? If it is, then I would say you work your 9 to 5 during the day, and in the evening you grind on your business. If it's not, then understand what you want to get from that business, right? So people ask me all the time, am I ever going to leave the company that I work for? Probably not. I love it. I enjoy what I do. But I actually really enjoy career coaching as well. So I take the career coaching at my own pace. I have a particular number of clients per week, and I do it because I absolutely love it. And so I would say, understand where you're going. If the ambition is to move away from your career, then save your money, right? Because you're going to have to. Entrepreneur life is not easy. Think about your exit plan. What is your exit plan? When will it be? And then also, how are you going to manage up until you leave? How are you going to manage the home life and the work life?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hannah. That was really brilliant. No, thank you for the answer questions as well. So are you guys ready? Because that was only the beginning. That was our first half. Our second half is going to be explosive too. So you might need more paper to get the notes. Remi.
Hey everyone. Hannah, that was fantastic. I hope she's still on. That was amazing. And my presentation isn't essentially about coaching in that way, so I hope that this is like the other side of career, if you want, but I echo everything she said about LinkedIn. It's liquid gold is what I explain it to other people that haven't utilized it. It's literally dripping with resources and people that everybody should be connecting to if you're a professional and even if you're an entrepreneur. So shout out to Hannah, she's amazing. Hey everyone, I hope you're well. So I am Remi Ray. And I've got 10 years of experience in business. I've always actually maintained a 9 to 5 job while building out my different companies. Like I said before, my journey really started in fashion. I created a vintage boutique in 2010, which was called Trapped in a Skinny World. The business failed very fast. I really didn't understand the customer that I was serving. But then I came back with a remit and that was called the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend, which did phenomenally well. I hit some bumps in the road with my business partner and decided to part ways, but still continued with fashion. I created 2 collections which showcased in Nigeria and Australia for plus size women. And then I just constantly got, messages from people about creating their collections or mentoring or coaching. And slowly but surely, I've decided to dip my feet in. And now I position myself as a coach of, people that are really wanting to be held accountable, articulate their value, and package up their expertise and diversify their income. I think if there's anything that we've learned over the last couple of months is that, this for me has been a real revelation. Like, they're not playing games with us. We have to have multiple streams of income, and also, vex money, because a lot of these employers are about to get rid of a lot of people that just are no longer serving. And so I just don't think that we have the opportunity to sit still in this climate. And so that's what my presentation will be a bit about, my entrepreneurial journey and some of the recent lessons that I've learned over the years about pivoting and understanding my value, and how you can slowly comb through finding your value and seeing where you're at, so you can move into living life or working or running your business in the way that you would love to. While we're waiting, why don't you guys say, if you're an entrepreneur, put that in the chat. If you're a corporate person or working in the public sector, let us know what you guys are up to, what kind of industries you come from. That will be helpful, so we can know who we're talking to. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about 3 areas. So it's skill set analysis, learning how to use your skills and expertise to level up, and identifying your value to use it to negotiate. I recently went through a process with a career coach myself, so I feel quite enlightened. I feel like I understand my value, and once you understand your value, it's going to be very, very hard for you to unsee it and go back to whatever it was that you were operating in before. The skill set analysis is really, for me, what do you have in your bag? Like, what do you have around you? What skill set do you have? What experience do you have around you? Learning how to use your skills, learning how to use your skills to level up is all about research for me. I think a lot of the times we don't like to do the research because it's just boring. But the reality is that knowledge that you acquire could allow you to pivot. It could allow you to renegotiate. It can allow you to position yourself in quite a strategic way so you can level up. But I know a lot of people find research quite tedious, but it is really a part of the process. The next one is identifying your value and using it to negotiate. For me, preparing yourself to win is just a no-brainer. I'm dyslexic. I've really struggled in uni. I struggled in college. I struggled in school. And being a naturally creative person, I had a lot of struggles because there was just things that I couldn't do. Writing isn't my strength. Articulating myself on job applications and things like that, it just takes me a long, long time. The position on myself to win is really important to me by making sure that things are prepared, or, I'm practicing, or, I'm continuing to invest in myself so that I have the skill set or I have the knowledge that can allow me just that leg up is really important to me. So the question I want to pose to you guys before we get down to businesses if you want, is, are you still getting a return on your investment of time? And what I'm basically saying there is, the work that you're going to, or the organization that you're, losing sleep over or getting strained over, is it still giving you that return? Is it still giving you that buzz? Is it still giving you the opportunity to develop? Is it really worth the time that you're never, ever going to get back? So I hope that, you take heed with that. Like, are you really getting the return of investment on your time? And if you're not, that is the place that I would begin. So skill set analysis. This is how I break down my skills. So the timeline actually works from right to left. So the first business I told you guys about was Trapped in the Skinny World, the vintage boutique. A lot of learning took place there. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see the writing. It looks a bit fuzzy on my end, but I'll read it to you. So my key learning there, these are personal key learnings that I learned from running Trapped in the Skinny World, was supply and demand. who my customer was, logistics, and the power of the internet. In 2010, not many people were, creating boutiques online and trying to connect websites to pay systems or using social media to sell. But I was already on there. I was quite early. I started my Twitter page and I started tweeting about plus size fashion. And it was a developing market, so it really allowed me to position myself quite quickly. But what I didn't understand was that actually plus size consumers had yet to build their confidence. And so I was serving a market that wasn't really ready for it. At that period, Topshop wasn't even selling vintage clothing. And it was just like coming into, like it was just being incorporated into fashion. And so I was ahead of the curve, but I really didn't have the skill set at that time. I didn't have the support system around me to pivot the business, to re-identify my customer, to understand the logistics properly, or how major the internet would be a part of my growth, my trajectory around business. And so I closed the company, unfortunately. But what I learned, and why I call this skill set analysis, is because I really learned how to build a website. I really learned how to utilize social media to benefit myself, to highlight what I was doing. I really understood after a while that it was costing me money to pick my wholesale items up and then price them, then ship them, then package. I learned so many skills within that space. And honestly, I'm so grateful for Trapped in a Skinny World, even down to, the brand itself, Trapped in a Skinny World. Like, I went to a tattoo artist in Camden and asked her to recreate this logo vision that I had in my mind so that I could use that to take to the printers, to get it printed out in t-shirts, so I could sell merchandise. So I was learning all these skills in the background that a lot of my peers hadn't even, begun to embark on yet. In 2010, there was very few people running businesses, but I was learning so much. I was really young, and I was figuring it out. After that, I created the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend with, really small amounts of money. I think it was £2,500 at that time. I was saving for my master's, and I went away to New York and came back and said, you know what, I'm going to give this plus size fashion thing another go. And through that, I was able to get major sponsorship from the Arcadia Group, from, Hanes in the States. I was able to get my first venue paid for. That cost £5,000. The second venue we used was £36,000. And this all was from a seed of money that I had of £2,500. And we literally took the plus size world by storm. Everybody and anybody was really talking about the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend. But my personal learnings there was, be careful who you do business with. And there's money out there to be made. A lot of companies will never take a risk on a black girl. A lot of companies will say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any money. But when people see that there's something there, believe me, they will bring out the point. And so what I was learning through the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend was how to be a leader. I had 2 assistants. I had a staff of like 30 people. I was having venue meetings. I was talking to production teams. I was, working with like agencies, modeling agencies, and catering companies, and not sleeping, and having conference calls in Hong Kong. So I was constantly building up different skill sets, again, even different from Trapped in a Skinny World. British Plus Size Fashion Weekend forced me to be a leader. It forced me to have conversations with the press. It forced me to be interviewed. It pushed me to the forefront and really helped me hone in on my confidence, but also on my ability to deliver. And that's big, because when you're able to, deliver something that you speak from your chest, people really have the confidence in you. And then opportunities start to come from all over the place because they really believe in you because you do what you say you're going to do. After that, I said I did fashion designing. The key learnings in that, the personal ones specifically, was taking a risk and invest in yourself. Investing into access, money management. Same thing happened with the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend. I had never managed money before. Nobody ever told me about money, but at this point we're getting tens of thousands of pounds in, and I'm having to pay invoices, make sure I'm paying my staff, make sure that they're eating, because an event kind of takes place over a couple of days, so you have to make sure every single aspect is covered. And at the time I was like 23, And I had never experienced anything like this before. It was just crazy. So money management as well is a big one for me. I speak a lot about it on my Instagram, and I have a shit happens fund where I help people build their emergency funds as well. But all of these things are because of all the skill sets I learned by building all these different companies. And also, when you lack knowledge, is one of the personal lessons that I learned. People will take advantage of you. Because I was young, there was a lot of things I still didn't know. I was bumping my head along the road. I was figuring things out as I went. People will look out for people that don't seem to know. So even though it's a personal key learning, the reality is that you still need to understand who you're doing business with. You need to understand contracts. You need to understand how to negotiate, collaboration. And it's absolutely true. When you don't know things, people can and often will take advantage of you. So that was major for me as well. In 2018, I created a company, a CIC company called the Diverse Creative CIC, which is a dyslexic organization, a support hub for those with dyslexia, because I shied away from my dyslexia because I thought it was another layer that would block me from being able to reach my dreams and my potential. And honestly, I struggled. The reasons why I even created Trapped in a Skinny World and the British Plus Size Fashion Weekend was because I really struggled to get a job that I liked in fashion. And honestly, the industry was just horrible. The people were nasty. There was no understanding. It was just vile. And so I thought, you know what? The best thing I can do is bet on myself and create my own hype. And that's exactly what I did. And I never really spoke about my dyslexia until 2018, until I created the Diverse Creative CIC, because I was really embarrassed about not being able to read properly, spell properly, and a variation of things. But what it taught me is that, just like Hannah was saying about your superpower, it's those things that really make you magic. The difference is where the magic is at. Like when people shy away from their differences, I just want to shake them and say, lean in. This is where the magic will happen. That is why now they're crying out for diversity and inclusion, because they know that that's really where the difference is. That's where the gold's at. So I tell people all the time, if you have a difference or a superpower, learn how to package it, learn how to articulate it. And these were the things that I was learning through building the Diverse Creative CIC. It's a bit of a different organization as well in terms of structure. So there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of mindfulness about data and things like that. So these again are another set of skills that I've learned by building something a bit different, something a bit out of my usual palette of fashion. And since then, as you guys know, I've become a business coach. I've recently released a book called Level the Fuck Up, which has done really well. I sold out quite quickly, which is, even for me, right, there's a dyslexic person writing a book. Like, how ironic. I wrote a workbook that has like my ideas and things that I want to share with the world, and people pay me for that. And that's really rewarding for me. I created a sourcing trip to Asia as well, where I took young entrepreneurs to China, to look at factories. They wanted to make, fashion or collections or whatever. And I showed them how to invest into themselves, and also the negotiation process, which I learned from doing my fashion designing, from doing my collections. I learned those things. I invested in myself and took myself to Vietnam when I was building, just because it was important to get the knowledge to show up and be present. So my key learnings from that was to continue learning, which, for me now, I understand is something that I must always lean into. Continue to create and build and help will come. People love a trier, and that's what I've learned over the years. People really love people who are trying, and that's in organization, that's in entrepreneurship. People like people that are moving and are not stagnant. And these are some of the key learnings that I've learned, but also they're interchangeable, right? That this could also be the same in regards to your career. It can be the same in terms of entrepreneurship. And all of these elements, communication was at the forefront. I'm very open, I'm very transparent. I don't mind being vulnerable. All of these things allowed a lot of people to gravitate towards me. And when I didn't have the answers, would drop a seed of information on me so that I could move forward. So what I'm saying here is make a list of all the quality things that you've done, past and current, and try and figure out what they look like. Are they project management skills? Are they business lessons? Are they so not business lessons? Are they project management? Are they you built a website? Are they you know how to create communities? Are they how to articulate things that are very hard for other people? So make a list of all those things. So the homework here is make a list of all the quality things that you have done past and present, and figure out a way to articulate them to make sense in today's time. So project management, okay, I ran an event, I probably used some project management skills to do that. Okay, that's what I mean there. Yeah. All right, so that's the first first thing that I'm asking you guys to do. So the next one is use your skills and experience to level up. And as we know, the world has changed. Like, I hope that there's nobody under 16 or 18 here, but like, the world is really BS. Like, what we're in right now is an anomaly. And on top of it, it's changed forever. It isn't going back. This is it now. And whatever happens now from this point. And so I just think that it's time for you guys to understand exactly what it is that you're working with, so you can decide how you move forward. So these are the kind of questions that I think that people should really be asking themselves at this point in time. Do you know what you bring to the table? A lot of people love to tell you, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, but do you actually know what you bring to the table? When is the last time that you did a value audit with yourself to say, okay, this is me in all my glory? Like, when is the last time that you did that? What also are you solving for these companies? Everybody wants to be promoted. Everybody wants to, be the director or the leader in the room. But what are you actually solving for your business? Because that is really the language of business. What solutions are you providing? A lot of people cannot even tell you what it is that they are solving for their companies. And not knowing what you solve or what problem your company has and how you add value or change the trajectory of that or solve the issue, you're really shortchanging yourself. And then the next one is, in 3 to 5 years, what do you see for yourself? Like, a lot of the time we want these big jobs, we want to be in these fantastic networks, everybody want to drive a Range Rover, everybody want to be in Louis Vuitton, but the reality is that if that's not what you see for yourself, why are you killing yourself to write an application for an organization you don't even see yourself working in? And so I ask you this question, and I hope you hear me good. Do you know your freedom numbers? Somebody dropped this gem on me and it took me out. It hit me in my chest. How much money do you really need to survive on that will make you happy? A lot of the time we're going. Most of us think that we want to be millionaires. Many of us want to be millionaires, and I really hope you get there. But the reality is that it's going to take some time. So do you know how much you need to really be free? Some of us can live on $2,000. Some of us can live on $1,000. Some of us need 10, but if you don't know that actual tangible number that you're trying to achieve, what are you really doing and where are you really going? The next one is, how do you measure success? How do you measure your success to hit that goal? How are you measuring if it's £1,000 a month? How are you measuring that you are able to hit that goal? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you selling stock? How many pieces do you need to sell? Maybe you're in sales. Maybe you need to find out how many, or you probably know how many pieces you need to get rid of or whatever it may be so that you can get there. But a lot of the time, people don't know the answers to these questions. And every day you're waking up, sitting on a train, annoyed because somebody sat next to you, and you're never going to leave the rat race if that's what you want, because you don't even know how to measure your success. And another thing, right? How if you're an employee, how does your manager measure your performance? Not all the time it's only done via a performance review. Sometimes it's the other stuff. So if your manager is measuring you in multiple different ways, then you really need to understand how you're being measured, and if there's really room for growth. Is there room for development based on X, Y, and Z? And most of the time, a lot of people are too scared to have these conversations, but it's important to, or you're just wasting everybody's time. And I guess, again, I'd ask you, are you really getting a return on your time? The next one is, are your personal values still aligned with your company? A lot of times people are not aligned with their companies. They don't love what the company does. They don't like what the company is about externally or internally. But most of the time we stay because we're so comfortable just receiving a salary. And every year we have to go back and ask our manager if they care enough to develop us a lot of the time, you know? So is this a place that really still resonates with you internally? And if not, then you're actually blocking a place that somebody else may think that that's their dream role, but because you're too lazy to move, right, you're just holding up a place which could go to someone else who's really interested in working in that company and their personal values really align, and your place could be somewhere else, but you haven't taken the time to really, you know, understand what you could bring to the table and value you could offer, solutions you could offer to the company that you would like to be aligned with. And that's the inner work that you really must do. The next one is, does your skill set still fit the strategic vision of the company? A lot of the time, people don't even look at the strategic vision of the company. I've had loads of conversations. I've spoken to many people, and they know nothing about really what the company does. They've read a few lines on the website and said, okay, that's it, fine. But most of the time, majority of the companies are going to have a whole report on the vision that they're trying to take. These are little gems that you can use when you go for interview or when you're having conversations, when you're trying to strategically plan for a promotion. You've got to look at the reports, you've got to do the research. And that's what I was saying earlier. A lot of the time, you know, people don't want to do the research. It just takes too much time. You're too busy scrolling on the gram. You know, you're too busy preparing brunch. But the reality is that that's where the juice is. The company's telling you exactly what they want, and you're going in there, you know, acting up, thinking of something totally different. They ask for blue flowers, you're bringing yellow, you know? Next after that is, what jobs have you looked at since the lockdown? Like, don't blame me, I know you've been looking at jobs. All of you been looking at jobs, trying to figure out if you could get more money or, you know, a better role or, you know, something along those lines. Everybody's looked at jobs over this lockdown. And I just want to know, you guys write in the comments as well, like, what jobs have you looked at since the lockdown, and did your current arsenal of skills match up? Like, I looked at loads of jobs. I've spoken to a lot of women over this lockdown, and most of them have told me, you know, most of the jobs that are out there at this moment in time are around D&I, marketing, finance, and education. So if you don't fit within that in some capacity, right now, you're probably going to struggle. And that doesn't mean that, or tech, sorry, that doesn't mean that there's no room for you. It just means that you've got a strategically plan how you can enter said spaces, or stay where you're at, or, you know, possibly wait for this furlough to finish and decide, or whatever it may be. But you really got to look at your skills, and if they actually align right now with what the market, the career market is actually posting and putting out. Also, what did you notice about the job market? That's what I noticed. I noticed that the jobs are very specific. There's a lot of jobs crammed together, so multiple jobs in one job role, and they're paying sometimes, not all roles, but some of them are definitely paying not the butt. I saw a role the other day for 2 councils, major councils in London. They were looking for one person to manage 2 councils. Madness, absolute madness. Somebody's going to definitely go and take that role on and leave within 6 months, because that ain't humanly possible, right? The next one is, do you love what you do? For me, this is major, because I've spent a lot of time side hustling. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I want to do. I spent a lot of time in my head as well, because of my dyslexia, just kind of like doubting my ability to win or to show up for myself, because I've just been so afraid of people picking up my errors. If you follow me on the gram, you're going to get a post, it's going to be edited, you know, 10, 20 minutes later, because I can't see my errors sometimes. But do you know what? I've just decided it's best to show up as Remi Ray in the most authentic way that I can. And that's what's really allowed people to connect with me, because that is just it. There's no job now that I'm not leading with the fact that I'm top 50 most influential neurodivergent woman in the UK. And how ironic, this is something that I cried about. Being dyslexic was something that really, really held me hostage in university. Writing a dissertation and writing not being your skill, you can only imagine, right? I'm sure a lot of you can relate. But, you know, doing what I love, which is helping people take action, stay motivated. And also as well, right, there's a lot of information that hasn't trickled down to women like me. That's why when I started Trapped in a Skinny World, I was crying for a tribe. I wanted somebody to say, babe, you don't have to shut your company, do this, do that. Literally, I didn't know where to turn or where to look. And that's why it's really important for me to leave breadcrumbs for other people to, you know, look at where they're at, look at where they want to go and make some decisions to move. So do you love what you do? Do you need to invest in some new skills, coach, to fit the market? Or do you have, like, I'm basically asking you here, are you investing into the information that you need? Like, Hannah is a fantastic coach, right? She's cost money, but guess what? You'll get the result. Most of the time, we're not investing. We're too busy investing in Jordans and Beyonce videos on Disney. Like, but most of the time, the information that we need is just, you know, an investment away, but we'll rather sit in our S for 1, 2, 3 years till the point where we've not got the confidence anymore to even try or move. And I stand by this. This is a year for me and moving forward of the expert, the specialist, and the consultant. No companies these days, especially tech companies, they're not paying you to sit in the organization anymore. You know, most of them just will want to employ you for the skill sets that you have. You do the job, you leave. You know, a lot of people that are thinking they're going to go back to the same admin jobs that they were doing, or the jobs that were just like pushing paper in the office. I even worked with a girl before, she was printing wrapping paper. And she think that her value is going to be important post-COVID. Do you know what I mean? Like, we got to start thinking in a different way now. And I mean, this is just my forecast, right? I believe that we are now moving into the space of the expert, specialist, or the consultant. You'll be paid a premium for the IP that you have in your mind. And a lot of the time, many of us don't see ourselves as experts or specialists. But the reality is that somebody's already hired you to do a specific job because they believe that you have the expertise to do that job well. That means that depending on what the industry is, right, somebody else will potentially pay you to help them, you know, move, create, implement, create, program X, Y, and Z, these things in their organization, maybe as a consultant, maybe as a specialist, maybe as an expert. But it really is about understanding your value before you do that. And that's why, just reiterating what I said in one, you really need to sit down and list all the quality things that you've already done, past and present, so that you can say, okay, I actually have done this. All right, so if you have done project management, do you really know about project management, or can you do an ad hoc project management? And if so, do you need to invest in getting the qualification? Maybe you do. So sorry, I talk really fast. I hope you guys are keeping up with me. If not, kill me in the comments after, but hey ho, we move. Identify your value and use it to negotiate, right? I went through a process where, because I never sat down and audited my value, I didn't really know what I was offering. I've done a plethora of things, but I really didn't know how to articulate it well. And now I say from my chest, I've got 10 years of entrepreneurial experience and 32 years of intellectual property, because I've been on this earth a long time and there's a lot that I've learned in the process, you know. But identifying your value and using it to negotiate is across the board. It doesn't matter if it's career focused or if you're an entrepreneur. When I took myself to Vietnam, I couldn't speak the language, but what I had was money, and I had the understanding of the fashion world and how much items cost to make, and time and fabrics and things like that. So I knew that I was serious, you know. And I went with my fabrics. I came back with a whole suitcases full of the items that I wanted creating, because I found a way, you know. And documenting your impact is really important. And what do I mean by that, right? If you're an employee, you should be keeping a log of all your skills, all the impact that you're making, all the new things that you've learned. You got to do that from the jump. Most of the time when you enter new spaces, not all the time, but a high proportion of the time, right, you're learning some new skills. So if those new skills that you've learned combined with your current skill sets create impact for the company, you need to be documenting that. So when you go up for your probation or when you go up for your reviews, you can say how you've impacted the company, how you've contributed to the company, how you've shown up for the company, how you solved problems for the company, how you've driven results for the company. Because nobody in their right mind, especially in this climate, wants to lose an asset for an organization that's really helping them reach their strategic vision. The next one is using data. I can't stress this enough. Like, a lot of the time we're out here being passionate, being too emotional. We can't even articulate our words right. But the reality is that the data kills it all. Even if your manager can't stand you, but you got the data, she's going to have to listen. The data doesn't lie. Ain't that what they tell us all the time? The data doesn't lie. So start articulating your impact in data. If you've increased, BAME, if you've, you've increased the impressions, you've increased lead generation, you've increased their social media following, you've increased the recruitment for BAME people, the project that you ran, it came in under budget. Like, all of these things, articulate it in data. When you sit down with your manager, that is what's going to penetrate a lot faster. It's quick, it's sharp, and it's straight to the point. It's straight shooting. Nobody's going to get rid of somebody that is, winning when they can see the data right in front of them. It will be stupid. If they did, they really must not like you. Sorry. True. Also as well, get prepared. Don't just talk about it, right? Show up and show out. Be clear about what you want to gain from the conversations. Even if it's in business, right? If your end result is to, I don't know, have a product made for £10, don't go in there acting like you've got £100 to spend. Learn some of these skills, especially around negotiation. A lot of us need to go on sales training as well. A lot of us want to be in the people business and don't like people. It's a part of the process. It's the same here, right? You want to go and speak to your manager about a pay rise or holiday or, training, and you ain't even got the figures. You need to make sure that there's no room for them to say no. Oh, I'm thinking about doing training. You are? That's nice. What kind of training? Oh, project management. Do you have the information? No, I'll pull it off for you later. No, lady. Here is the information. This is how much it costs. Check the budgets. It seems like you have money. Oh, I'm thinking of a pay rise. Why do you think you deserve a pay rise? Well, I've checked the market. You have to come with your A game all the time. A lot of us like to slack off. I don't know what's going on with most of us, because reality is a lot of the opportunities that are out there aren't the same for all of us. So a lot of us are starting from the ground up and scratch all over again because we just don't have the network. So you've got to come prepared. You've got to put on your best, your Sunday best if you want. Show up and show out so that there's no reason for someone to deny you. And if they denied you, it would really be their loss. And I saw somebody in the comments, I think his name was Timmy. He said, you're not a tree. And that's what I have in my notes here. You're not a tree. You can move. You can move. If there's nothing more that you take away from this presentation, is that, sis or brother, you're not a tree. You can move. There's no space that's worth, zapping out your confidence or, messing with your mental health. You have got value inside you. You just need to sit down with it and write it out, black and white, see it in front of you and start connecting the dots. My promise to my clients is that, the people that I work with, they work with me because I'm very passionate. I've tried a lot of things. I've figured out a lot of things. I've had a lot of good results, and a lot of it is trial and error. I won't tell you any lie. But that's the process, right? A lot of us think that tomorrow someone's coming to save us. Nobody's coming. And that's why I say you need to know your freedom numbers. You need to know what, your checklist is. You need to know certain things, your morals, your values, your principles that you're not going to bend on. And I lead with transparency because I think it's important. I think there needs to be more, transparent conversations. And that's how I treat my clients as well. One of the things that I've been immensely blessed with is that, one, I don't shy away from investing in myself. I love building rapport with people that are authentic and living in their purpose. And I love talking about money. I love talking about money, whether it's mortgages, whether it's debt, Because all of this for me is it comes together with the freedom numbers. Because if you don't tackle your debt, it means that it's going to take away from you being able to see the freedom numbers, so that you have the flexibility to operate how you want. I love talking about mortgages. A lot of people want to buy houses, yet they're swallowed in debt, or they don't even know where to begin. I love talking about savings, because for me, that's what allows me to say, this space is no longer serving me. I can leave, because I'm not a tree. If somebody isn't treating me right, I can use my money now to create a level of freedom for myself and pivot or move away. In order to do that, I have to know, my tolerances, and freedom numbers is just non-negotiable. So what I say for my clients is that I promise to help them to stop giving away their intellectual property. Too many of us are giving too much away for free, and that needs to change. Like, so many people are giving away their intellectual property for free. It's a shame. And we need to get used to investing into knowledge. We need to get used to investing into resources and tools that we need to advance ourselves. We got to stop playing ourselves short and wage a war on mediocre. It just isn't working for us. My other promise is that you will generate another revenue stream. I don't really play around with the one revenue stream, because I just don't think it's helpful, and it gives somebody else too much power over my life. Dyslexia is already one, right? It took away a lot of years of my life. So for me, having multiple income streams is really important. And I like to stretch people. I like to provoke their thoughts so that they think about things in a different way. So there's no way that people that coach with me or the current people that work with me aren't thinking about multiple revenue streams to make sure that they always are in a good place financially. And that might include, having an emergency fund for your business or something of that nature, so that you can always be secure. The other promise is that you will understand your unique value in today's market. That comes down to the research. When I took my butt to Vietnam, I had to research factories, who could help me, the language barrier, where I would stay strategically. A lot of this stuff is research. We do it all the time, right? We do it all the time, but we never really think about it in relation to self or the direction that we're going in. It's like there's a fog in front of us and we forget that bit, but we could easily tell somebody else how to get there. So for me, those are my promises. And that's it. This is how you get in touch with me. So I hope you guys are able to follow. Like I said, I'm not an influencer. I'm just somebody who has tried a variation of ways to help myself, to be flexible, to show up, to be impactful, transparent. And that's it. Thanks, guys.
Hi, Remi. Sorry, just trying to touch up the spoon.
Hey, ladies.
Hey, it was so great, and also congratulations on that sold out book for you.
Thank you.
I have a copy and it is amazing. I keep saying the word amazing, but still. But yeah, I'm enjoying my copy so far. So yeah, well done on that. That is accomplishment.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. There were lots of tips there. One thing that we did have some questions. First question, and you did kind of touch on this, but just because I know it's a big one, I'm going to bring it back up. And it's, how did you work around your dyslexia and starting your own business?
I just started. That's it.
Just did it.
I'm an action person naturally anyway, but I realize a lot of people aren't. The reality is that it doesn't matter if you're dyslexic or not dyslexic, you're going to hit roadblocks. And I think that people need to just get more comfortable with failing forward as opposed to procrastinating and holding themselves back. So if you want to start a business, use that. Don't say if you're dyslexic, just start the business from research. Make sure you're signing up to the right newsletters, getting the right information so that you get, you can make sure that you're positioning yourself well in the market. A lot of companies these days, especially small brands, aren't using sustainability. Business has moved on. It's not the same as just, I think I'm going to open up a shop and sell some bundles. It's okay, what about those bundles? Do they have warranty on them? You see what I mean? You got to think about business in a more rounded way, because things have changed. And for me, that really is about information. So I sign up to Harvard Business Review. I sign up to Strategic Business. I read multiple books about business. I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. see if the industry that I want to operate in has changed. And the reality is that podcast, right, are the new books, but in real time. And there's just a lot of juice in there for anyone, dyslexic or not. That's just, it's information related.
What would be a great way to start having multiple income streams?
You got to do what you're good at, man. A lot of people shy away from the skill sets that they already have. Like, I spoke the other day to a teacher. She's a teacher. She's very good at being a teacher. So for me, naturally, teaching of some capacity would probably be the easiest thing for her to do because she already has the skill set. So then you peel it back, right? What's happening right now? Parents are really struggling. So does that mean that you need to create some paid webinars to help parents maneuver this time? Maybe there's a subscription service, actually. Maybe there's some new trends coming down the pipeline that parents should know about, and you need to create a newsletter of some sort, and maybe it's paid, right? So you get money for writing a newsletter now. Not only that, you're getting money because you're creating these webinars. Maybe then you're doing some online tutoring in itself. Maybe that's a subscription model. You know, there's multiple ways. Maybe you're doing digital products. It just depends on where you're at, you know. But the thing that I would say consistently is that do something you love first, or something that you're already doing that comes very easy to you. And then whatever reward you get from that, use some of the money as like contingency money so that you can do miscellaneous projects that are a bit more left, that people don't really know you for, so you can slowly dip the toe in until you're comfortable to then launch or release that other thing.
There were just a few kind of abbreviations that I heard you mention, and one of them was I think it was DNI and IP. Is it okay? Just
diversity and inclusion.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So thank you, Remi. We're going to bring Hannah back on. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, baby.
Hey. So thank you for... Oh, you're muted, Hannah.
You're on mute.
Hi, sorry.
Hi. So I think the one question I wanted to pose to both of you was, I'm a poet and looking to have a career in the music sector. So that's obviously quite a big transition. What advice would you give Abundance?
Oh, sorry. For me or for Remi or for both?
Both of you. What advice would you give? So they're a poet and they want a career in the museum sector. So it's that kind of whole transition across sectors. What advice would you give them?
You want to go?
So for me, it would be learn about the sector, connect to people that are already in the sector, and start there, and then maybe start connecting with people. You got to understand what is it exactly in the museum sector you want to go into as well. And then, you know, once you know what you want to get into, then you can start to think about routes to get in there.
There's nothing wrong with interning. I mean, we can't at this precise moment, but maybe there's an opportunity once you connect with someone, either via LinkedIn, like Hannah has said, or actually, you know, in the space itself. There's nothing wrong with going back to the drawing board and maybe doing a week or two of work experience in that said place or an apprenticeship, so that you can then say that you've got experience in said organization, and slowly but surely, you know, pivot into that space.
Amazing. Perfect. So yeah, before we go over to the competition, just a few bases that I wanted to cover, and I wanted to say a big thank you to the National Lottery Coronavirus Fund. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So big thank you to them. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Thank you, Remi. Thank you, Hannah. You have both been amazing. To everybody asking, so this video will be edited and then posted back up on the YouTube channel. So you will be able to get back to it to look back at reference purposes. Any other things we need to cover?
No, I just hope everybody that's been watching has really been helpful for you. I know for a fact I'm in the middle of transitioning myself, so all of this information is really valuable to me. Everything that's going on is definitely something that we need to kind of keep in mind, and learning the skills and transferable skills. So yeah, definitely, and I'll definitely be investing in myself, because I think that is the most key part, is seeing us as an investment, and that's what we need to remember.
Perfect. And one thing I did want to add, I'm not a career coach as such, but I'm a life coach. And something that came across that I felt a lot of the participants were kind of tapping into was that finding your path and finding your direction. And one thing that I think is a really good tool is to write a mission statement. I know we normally associate that with maybe websites or with like schools or things, but yeah, writing a mission statement for yourself, for your life, is a good way to get started, to help you kind of hone in to where you want to go, and to just like hone into your direction for your life, which can then impact your career, whether you start a side hustle, whether you go out as an entrepreneur. But yeah, a mission statement is really, really good.
Also, can I just add before we leave, just around giving yourself some grace? A lot of us are really rushing the process, right? A lot of us are trying to be these high flyers. Everybody wants to have, all the dramas that are already out there, Louis Vuitton trunks or whatever it may be. But the reality is that there's a lot of magic that happens in the process of gaining these new skills or entering these new places. And sometimes you have to be a bit vulnerable as well, right? And show up, and people will either help or not. You got to be authentic, but giving yourself some grace, for me, is really saving me recently. It's important. A lot of us are too pressured with society these days, and we need to exercise some grace too.
Yeah, that is really okay. So I'm going to go on to the competition. Our new competition rules are that if you're not in the comments, I'm passing it to the next person. Yeah, so we're not having any time wasted, because these services, like, they are good services, so you either want them or you don't. So our first winner.
Drum roll.
Oh, amazing. So our first winner is Betty. So Betty Quayson, just so that people don't think I'm making it up, even though. But Betty Quayson, are you in the comments?
I did see Betty.
I did see Betty.
Betty
and okay, our first winner is Betty. It's one winner. So Betty, you're the winner. Can you reach out to us in the comments?
Yeah. Come on, Betty.
And make sure you're following all both Remi and Hannah on all the Twitters, the Instagrams, the web pages. Make sure you're subscribing to them. Make sure you get Remi's book. Make sure you get Remi's book. Book yourself in with Hannah for some CV services. Remi's got coaching services as well. Make sure you utilize, like Remi touched on.
Betty.
Hey Betty. Like Remi touched on, there are so many things out there that are there for us to utilize, and it's not going to work for us if we don't utilize it. Yeah. So make sure you're utilizing what is out there. Make sure you're taking the steps that are needed to kind of propel yourself in your career. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week with well-being and fitness talks. And the week after that, we'll be doing education talks, which is going to be a big one, because I just know it's going to be a big one. There's a lot happening in the education world. Every day things are moving so quickly, and I want to be able to kind of touch on some gems and support parents and families. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you stay subscribed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Remi. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, National Lottery Fund. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Make sure you stay tuned for next week.